Ko Dawn Hayward tuku ingoa. This is my context and mapping plan. As you can see at the top, I am Christchurch born and bred. I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. I have British heritage and a large extended family in England. Since 2004, I have been working at Rangiora High School in North Canterbury, which has 1,700 students and 120 teaching staff. Something interesting about that context is we do have a school farm, and I think we're about 1 of 3 in New Zealand to have one. So that's something quite special about us. We are a very diverse school. We have everything from students who are really keen to go on and join the family farm to students who want to go into trades, to students who want to go to university, to students who have gained scholarships in America for sport, and other really high-flying students. So we have a little bit of everything. So catering to all those students is a little bit tricky at times. So fast forward 20 years, here I am. I'm an English teacher. I'm also the assistant leader of learning in English. I did spend 3 years as the leader of learning, but then decided that that wasn't for me and I wanted to focus more on going into gifted education. So I have many years experience working with gifted learners as the enhancement coordinator and lots of experience teaching highly abled students. When I became the enhancement coordinator, it was kind of just, here you go, here's something that you can do. And I was very much in the dark in terms of what I was supposed to do. So that has been quite a journey trying to figure that out. So for most of that time, and it's been probably 10 years, I have done that on my own. But last year I began the Diploma of Specialist Teaching, and from that I started making connections with our learning support coordinators and with the deputy principal with oversight of enhancement, and we've had a few meetings and are getting a few things on track. Some of my existing quality practices in 2023, I started to raise awareness of giftedness because it really wasn't all that visible in my kura. So I started publishing a newsletter called Being Gifted, and I also started to expand provisions by establishing a Google Classroom to post opportunities for students to opt into. This allowed me to get a wider range of opportunities out to students that they could consider. I also created an initiative called Mind Time, where I would get gifted students together once a week and we would do some high-level thinking activities, competitions. Sometimes we'd just do board games, but it was a really good chance for them to get together and be with like-minded people. Big thing for me this year, and just in the last few days, I have formed a gifted committee of 6 people to continue the kaupapa that I started last year. We will be working with GEMS Aotearoa, which is the Gifted Education Mentoring Service. So last year I applied for an award for teachers of gifted learners, and I was awarded around $3,500 to pay for that mentoring, so that's a really great opportunity. If we sort of follow the arrow, so my plan in terms of the committee that I have just formed is to create more robust systems. At the moment it's a little bit piecemeal, so I'm looking at creating a more user-friendly register that all staff can access, and including KMAR flags on the KMAR system in the same way that students with learning needs have flags. I want to work on school-wide definition of giftedness, At the moment, we don't really have that. And the other thing we don't have or haven't been able to find is a school policy. That is really important, and that will link into our staff strategic focus this year or the last couple of years, which is Know Me, Guide Me, which means having data, forming relationships with students in order to know them really well, so that you know how to teach them and you know how to guide them. The other goal of the committee is to make enhancement more visible, to promote opportunities and to raise awareness with staff, because it's kind of one of those things that often gets left behind when you're a busy teacher. I also want to improve the identification process, and I've already started working with GEMS on that. In terms of staff PLD, some key areas of focus are enabling staff to recognise gifted learners, as I have noticed that even in my practice, sometimes it takes a long time to realise that a student is gifted, maybe because they haven't been given the opportunity for that to be shown. Another area for staff PLD is differentiation and personalised learning, which I think some staff struggle with in terms of catering to gifted learners. So the aim is that the committee members will disseminate information to their faculties and learning areas, and also shoulder tap members of their faculties' learning areas to run opportunities that align with their subject areas and passion. At the moment, there are a lot of opportunities that I come across get sent to me, and there's way too much for me to take on, and I just don't have the people to help run all those things for different students. So really wanting to grow a bank of people this year that are able to help with things, even if it's just a one-off, it will make a big difference. So I've got there, the goal is to get more people on board to cater to a wider, more diverse group of students. Down the bottom here, I have how my goals this year will align with my own team's goals, so my faculty or learning area goals, the whole school goals, and the growth cycle. So my personal goal for the personal growth cycle this year is improving culturally responsive practices by being involved in the Niho Taniwha project. Now this is a faculty-wide initiative, and this also aligns with my goal of understanding how to cater to and understand Māori giftedness. This will also help me to foster school-wide understanding of giftedness for Māori. And this also links to our school-wide strategic focus of Know Me, Guide Me. The goal there being having comprehensive knowledge of students through data, relationship building, and really knowing the learner. There are a lot of factors that influence or underpin my thinking when I am talking about my context and beginning to map what's going to happen this year. One of the factors is the prevailing myths about gifted learners that I have seen in my kura. Some of those myths are, I don't need to worry about them, they're bright, so they've sought themselves out. However, we know that gifted learners are entitled to learning support in the same way as any other learner with particular learning needs. So this needs to be promoted, and I have already started doing this through my Being Gifted newsletter and forming the committee, which has just happened in the last few days. We know that gifted learners are the ones who are often planned for last. There is a general lack of understanding of their unique needs, and often they're not planned for at all because of time constraints. If we're able to raise awareness, staff will start looking in unexpected places for gifted learners and for unique forms of giftedness. Another myth is that giftedness relates only to traditional academics. A big learning curve for me is gaining the understanding that giftedness presents in a myriad of different ways. It can be sporting, cultural, in leadership, and that's quite big in my context, creativity, manaakitanga, etc., etc. The list goes on. Another myth about gifted learners is that if a student has a learning disability, they can't be gifted. This is a big fallacy, as twice exceptional learners often have so much untapped potential, and when you can find their area of strength, you can really be amazed by what they can do. So I'm coming to the conclusion that giftedness is everyone's responsibility, but staff need the tools to be able to cater to gifted learners in the regular classroom. One idea is to start with a faculty audit to establish where people are at, but we also have a survey that GEMS has carried out, which I haven't seen the data from yet, and 30 staff have filled that in. So that is going to help inform my practice this year as well. Ka kite.